真佛中彩虹雷藏寺孔雀明王护摩法会开始，一会大众请起立，恭迎真佛宗创办人无上法王圣尊莲生活佛。一会大众虔诚合掌唱诵莲花童子心咒。坛城做观想大礼拜，一拜根本传承上师及诸佛。嗡啊吽，观想顶礼，回天心三印。二拜诸菩萨。嗡啊吽，观想顶礼，回天心三印。三拜诸护法金刚。嗡啊吽，观想顶礼，回天心三印。四平等一起走。恭请师尊移步到展视频，接受众线上的众弟子问安。
师尊，师尊好。
恭敬法王圣尊莲僧活佛，升法王座。师父言先上师请上座，长老仁波切诸位上师请上座。教授师法师请上座。讲师诸教贵宾同门善信大德，请就座。
We're inviting His Holiness to enter into the Homa Hall and ascend to the Homa throne. Now we're inviting everybody to please be seated.
圣尊莲僧活佛加持主祈者表格。
Inviting His Holiness to bless the prayers of the primary supplicants and merit holders. The offering of Hatha, let us now join our palm. We're inviting Master Lin Yi to present the offering of Hatha to the Venerable Guru as a symbol of the highest honor on behalf of all of us.
孔雀明王护摩法会开始，
The Mahamayuri Homa fire offering ceremony has now begun. Visualize to Buddha lineage. Namo Vayakana Buddha, Namo Buddha Lokana, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Padma, Namo Little Buddha lineage. Visualize Grandmaster and all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas radiating light to bless us. Recite Padma Kumara mantra 7 times.
Om Guru Yến Sông Xịt Tỳ Hồng, 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 Om Guru Yến Sông Xịt Tỳ Hồng.
Perform the visualizations of the four immeasurables. Visualize ancestors and relatives to the father's side. From the father's side to your right, from the mother's side to your left. Friends and teachers behind us. Enemies and karmic creditors in front of us. All sentient beings around us together practicing tantric dharma and ultimately attaining Buddhahood. Clap twice and snap your fingers to awaken the deities. Recite purification mantras and the deity mantra.
Om Siêu-tô-li, Siêu-tô-li, Siêu-mô-li, Siêu-mô-li, Sô-ha. Om Wa-ra-dan, Ho-ho-hom. Namo Samanto Modoran, Om Duru-duru Devi Sô-ha.
Recite invocation mantra.
Hom Sô-ha. Om A-hom Sô-ha. Om A-hom Sô-ha.
We sincerely invoke our lineage Guru, His Holiness Living Buddha Linsang, Namo White Maha Padma Kumara, Namo Lotus Light Self-Mastery Buddha, Namo True Buddha School Lineage Gurus. We sincerely invoke the main deity of Homa, Namo Maha Mayuri. We sincerely invoke the main deity of Homa, Namo Maha Mayuri, Buddha King. We sincerely invoke the main deity of Homa, Namo Maha Mayuri, Buddha King. Namo Golden Mother of the primordial jet ponds, Namo 5 Dhyani Buddhas, Namo 8 primary deities of True Buddha School, Namo Yamantaka, Namo Akalanata, Namo 4 heavenly kings. Namo all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Hedukas, Dhammapalas, Dakinis, enshrined at the Rainbow Temple, all the deities enshrined at the True Buddha Tantric Quarter, at the Seattle Legend Temple, and at the Saturn Mountain Retreat. Rainbow Temples, Mountain God, Earth God, Plant Gods, Wind Gods, Water Gods, Heavenly Fire Gods, Dragon Gods, and all divinities, to please radiate light and bless this Homa. Pay homage using visualization for student Guru and all Buddhas. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, second to all Bodhisattvas. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, third to all Hedukas and Dhamma protectors. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, fourth head bow. Great mandala offering from the offering mudra. Visualize the transformations of the offerings to become innumerable to fill the whole cosmic space. Make the offering above to the lineage Guru, all the lineage Gurus. The main deity of Homa, Namo Maha Mayuri, Buddha King and her retinue, all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Hedukas, Dhammapalas, Dakinis, divinities, and below to all sentient beings.
念供养赞及供养咒，须弥
Recite the offering verse and mantra. Mameru, four continents and sun and moon transform into precious offerings for the Buddhas. May these wondrous treasures and merits purge our karma to allow for civilization.
อิตามุกุรุณาเมนจานาคันนิเยกายามิ 做是皈依观想，观想根本传承。
For refuge, visualize our lineage Guru, all the lineage gurus.
一切诸佛
The Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, Sangha jewel to form, and the Mahamayuri King Buddha to form great white light to empower us. Recite the
南
mantra.
无格鲁贝，南无大孔雀明王佛，南无大孔雀明王经，南无孔雀明王海会眷属。 南无格鲁贝，南无大孔雀明王佛，南无大孔雀明王经，南无孔雀明王海会眷属。南无格鲁贝，南无大孔雀明王佛，南无大孔雀明王经，南无孔雀明王海会眷属。 做披甲护身，手结金刚合掌手印，念金刚手菩萨真言7遍。
Karma
唵，波
protection.
尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里，唵，波尤兰泽里。 恭敬法王圣尊莲生活佛，转诸名加持。
Inviting His Holiness to perform blessings for Mala.
Inviting
His Holiness Living Buddha Liansheng to set simultanecation to bless the registration forms, homework cards, and all the offerings.
请大家起立恭敬合掌。
Please stand up and join your palms with reverence. And together we invite His Holiness to perform the ritual of opening the home of fire, to set some of the medication around, to lit the home of fire, to make healthy offerings, and to perform Mudra transformations for purifications, enrichments, magnetization, subjugation, and further deliverance. We invite everybody to please chant the heart mantra of the main deity of Homa today, Mahamayuri Vidyaraja.
Om 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 Om
加持八大本尊心咒及念佛。Om Ami Devase, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Pranamo
Recite that mantra slowly and slowly descending every time.
Samaye Soha, Om Zeli Zuli Junhi Soha, Om Zambala Chalung Chalaye Soha, Om Ahom Beja Guru Bema Siddhi Hom Se, Om Ahom Guru Be Ahu Sasamaha Yen Sheng Siddhi Hom. 迪亚他唵贝卡西亚贝卡西亚玛哈贝卡西亚阿扎萨摩伽雷梭哈南无36万亿11万9500后名同号阿弥陀佛。南无36万亿11万9500后名同号阿弥陀佛。南无36万亿11万9500后名同号阿弥陀佛。
Recite the supplication to the Guru Buddha to stay in samsara. I pay homage and supplicate His Holiness, the virtuous Amalasantika, all Buddhas, compassionate bodhisattvas, Herukas, Dhammapalas, and Dakinis, protectors of Dharma. The nights along the three poisons are proliferating. Our body and soul are stricken, tumbling in a miserable perpetual rebirth. With great compassion, His Holiness descended upon the world to salvage the deluded ones. The three jewels eminent wondrous light provide refuge for all. All fortunate beings, human and devas, rely on His Vajra body for the bestowal of teachings, vows, precepts, empowerments, and attainments. The disciples of Buddha plead that you stay in samsara to turn the Dharma wheel, to benefit and give happiness to multitudes of sentient beings. In our dedication, may all uphold the Buddha, ascend to the road of utmost bliss, repaying fourfold generosities from above, aiding those in the three realms below. Upon seeing the Buddha, may we transcend life and death. Like the Buddha, may we liberate all. True Buddha school disciples wholeheartedly pray to the main deity of Homa, the beautiful and compassionate Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Buddharajni, the Peacock King Buddha. By your majestic powers, the white lotus to eradicate and purify, to red fruit to magnify, and the yellow fruit to enrich, to please bless our lineage root Guru so that he is endowed with auspiciousness, enrichment, favorable support, and to be free from poisons, toxins, evils, and illnesses. And may His Holiness continually turn the Dhamma wheel in samsara with great bliss and self-mastery for a very long time. Inviting His Holiness Living Buddha Lien Sheng to perform the overall merit dedication. Wholeheartedly, we pay homage to the Mahamayuri Buddha. Wholeheartedly, we pay homage to the Mahamayuri Sutra. Wholeheartedly, we pay homage to Mahamayuri retinue. We pray that you bless us so that we can attain the four attainments. By your peacock feather, we may subdue everything. By your white lotus, may we eradicate all calamities. By the wish-fulfilling fruit, may we have harmony, love, and respect. And by your auspicious fruit, may we attract wealth. good fortune. We pray that you guide the Bardo spirits to be reborn to the Pure Lands. We pray that you bless us with good health, eradication of illnesses. We pray that you bless us with complete wisdom and abundant resources. And please bless us so that we are endowed with auspiciousness and untouched by illnesses and poisons. Namo Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Buddha. Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra. Namo Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Retinue. And gods in heavens, gods on earth, may we be far from all calamities. May all calamities abandon us. Let all disasters turn into dust. May all of our prayers be granted. May the pandemic disappear. May the viruses vanish. May bad causes and conditions disappear. May all hindrances disappear. We say 100 syllable mantra 3 times.
Sato ahom pei om beja sato samaya manupanaya beja sato tenu padicha zizo me pawa soto kayu me pawa sobo kayu me pawa anala to me pawa sarwa sidi me budaya cha sawa kama sutame citamu sriyan korohom ha 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 bagawan sawa tata kata beja mami menca beja pawa Mahasamaya Sato Ahom Pei Om Beja Sato Samaya Manupanaya Beja Sato Tenu Padicha Zizo Me Pawa Soto Kayu Me Pawa Sobo Kayu Me Pawa Anula To Me Pawa Sarwa Sidi Me Budaya Cha Sawa Kama Sutame Citamu Sriyan Kuruhom Ha 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 Bagawan Sawa Tata Kata Beja Mami Menca Beja Pawa Mahasamaya Sato Ahom Pei 做观想大礼拜100根本传承上师。
The home is used sing visualization for Guru and all Buddhas. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, second to all Bodhisattvas. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, third to all Herukas and Dhamma protectors. Visualize for procession on the ground, release the mudra, fourth Thapa.
念圆满咒
Recite completion mantra.
Om Brim Om Brim Om Mani Padme Hum。让我们以热烈的掌声感谢根本上师法王圣尊莲僧活佛。
Let's give a great round of applause to show our utmost gratitude to His Holiness for this,
请大家恭敬
for presiding over this Homa fire offering ceremony.
活佛做宝贵的法语
Now we are inviting His Holiness to bestow the precious Dharma teachings.
我们敬礼传承祖师，
Homage to the lineage gurus.
了明和尚，
Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao Ming.
沙迦正空上师，
Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong.
敬16世大宝法王哈马巴
Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa.
图登大吉上师，
And homage to Master Dubden Dorji.
坛城山，
Homage to the three jewels of the altar.
敬父魔的始终，
Homage to the main deity of Homa today,
谢弥满果，
the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Buddha, the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra, and Mahamayuri Vidyarajni retinue.
师母
Sumo
真感受，
Tanzan Gyatso Tutan Siddhi,
各位上师，教
all Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers,
讲师
Dhamma instructors, Dhamma assistants,
以及各位同门，
directors of temples and chapters,
大家
and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do?
你有打开后，心脏，他们愛してる。シャラヘ、オラミコ、ケケロムチョ、すごい、一番、気持ちいい、準備、やび、プリンプリン、こんにちは。现在通知大家，
I would like to announce
下
for
个礼拜天
next Sunday,
9月18日
September 18th
下午3点
at 3 p.m.
是大力金刚。
There will be Mahabala Homa fire offering
大
ceremony.
力金刚
Mahabala
是我们除了 school
is True Buddha School's Mahabala has contract with True Buddha School
综合中，
to support True Buddha School.
那大家形象都可以看得出来。
And you can see his image, his appearance is this deity here.
只是不能
And his mudra is the wrathful mudra for both hands. So subjugation
两只手
or wrathful mudra for both hands.
咒
And the mantra.
Om Mahaparaya Swaha. Om Mahaparaya Hum Pei. Om Mahaparaya Swaha. Om Mahaparaya Hum Pei. 我们这一尊
Mahabalaya Soha Om Mahabalaya Hum Hum Pe.
很多的这个
This deity has many transformations.
它那个金刚棍
The Vajra pole or staff belongs to Padmakumara, and his celestial duster belongs to Golden Mother, and he's also the envoy with great power of Siddhikarbha Bodhisattva, and his yidam is Amitabha Buddha. It's Amitabha Buddha's emanation, transformation. So he has many transformations: Golden Mother, Amitabha Buddha, Padmakumara, Siddhikarbha Bodhisattva. The combination of all those. In Tibetan Tantrayana, someone has transmitted this deity, the Mahabala, the Heruka with great power. He has tremendous power. And he's a great protector of True Buddha School. Many people have Mahabala as their protectors. And Mahamayuri came from the Mahamayuri Vimalakirti Sutra spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha. Sakyamuni Buddha, one of Sakyamuni Buddha's past lives was a peacock king. Mahamayuri means great peacock king. When he was in the animal realm, Sakyamuni Buddha was once a peacock king. So Mahamayuri wears the crown of Vairocana Buddha. And in the Amitabha Sutra, a transformation body of Amitabha Buddha is a peacock. He emanated many birds with marvelous sound to entice people to practice the 37 enlightening factors. So the Mahamayuri is a combination of Vairocana Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, and the peacock king. So that's why he's referred, or he or she is referred to as the great peacock king Buddha, or Mahamayuri Buddha Rajni. So Mahamayuri is a functional body of Sakyamuni Buddha because one of his life was a peacock king. And in the Amitabha Sutra, there was a peacock, kalavinkas, and other birds, and the peacock was an emanation of Amitabha Buddha and Vairocana Buddha. So the look of Mahamayuri is the look of Vairocana Buddha, and Mahamayuri is wearing the crown of Vairocana Buddha. So therefore, he's an equal body of Vairocana Buddha. and transformation body and the functional body of Sakyamuni Buddha. So he's a union of three Buddhas: Amitabha, Vairocana, and Sakyamuni Buddhas. So if you got COVID-19 and registered for the primary supplicants or merit holders, you will not get COVID-19. If you got it, or even if you get infected, you will recover right away. And the most special part about this deity is that it includes purification, enrichment, subjugation, and magnetization. Because one of the hands holding a peacock feather to subjugate, one hand is holding a white lotus for purification, and then one hand is holding the yellow auspicious fruit for enrichment and the red fruit for magnetization, love and respect. And we heard that when a peacock eats slight or a little bit of poison, then their feathers would become even more brilliant and radiant. So the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra was spoken by Sakyamuni Buddha because Sakyamuni Buddha's disciple was bitten by a poisonous snake. So Sakyamuni Buddha utilized Mahamayuri to help his disciple, so that disciple was spared from death. This was recorded in the Mahamayuri Vidyarajni Sutra. By performing the Homa today, we hope that we can detoxify, all of us, each of us can detoxify. Not only from the bodies, but also from the minds. So physically and mentally, all poisons and toxins can be eliminated. Let me share a joke. A couple, or boyfriend, girlfriend, after they separated, before they separated, they're called the present spouse. And then after they separated, they're called ex. And then if you got back together, what would you call them? You call them re-elected.
好像是华盛顿 DC 登堡雷藏寺。
So the Dengbao temple from Maryland, the master there is called Master Lianren. I think I've told this joke before. The husband is driving and the wife is sitting next to him. And the wife told the husband, "Honey, do you remember before we got married? We would play this game that you would kiss me every time we stop at the red light." So they had this game that the man would kiss the woman when they stop at the red light, and the husband replied, "Sure, I remember." And the wife said, "Let's play that again now." And the husband said, "Sure." But he drives on the highway. No more kiss. So before and after marriage is different. That's why many things in the past, in the present, and in the future depend on time. There still changes. There's nothing that stays the same all the time. So in terms of space and time, anything, everything will change. Yesterday we celebrated the Mid-Autumn Festival, and there's this joke. When you were 10, in celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival, you could not listen to the story of Chang'e, the Chinese goddess of the moon. All you think about is the mooncake. At 20, when you celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival, you cannot eat the mooncake, and you keep thinking about Chang'e, the goddess. And after the 30s, you don't eat the mooncakes anymore, and you don't think about the goddess. And you start thinking about the rabbit that the goddess owns. Do you want it barbecued, or sauce braised, or with 3 cups of condiment? So, like I said, in terms of the space and time, spatial and time dimension, there is a change to everything. Time changes, space changes. It's always different. In Buddhism, we say that it's ever changing. Now we'll get on to the main topic. Question from Honey in Singapore.
师尊你好，请问为什么会有佛界？
Dear Master, may I ask you why there are different realms, such as the realms of the Bodhisattvahood, of the heavenly, of the human realms, and all these other And why reincarnation exists?
菩萨界、天界
Why are there realms of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heavens, and other realms? And why does reincarnation exist?
这就是我们所讲的这些境界，都是变化出来的。
So we say that all these realms are manifested,
那么也就是依你
transformed.
因缘
So depending on your own causes and conditions, all kinds of realms manifest for you.
像你修的最高的这个佛界，
If you practice the highest realm of Buddhahood,
漏尽，
then you need to
你才能够
completely,
佛界。
you need to have a complete outflow of everything in order to reach the realm of Buddhahood.
也就是告诉你，
When you reach the realm of Bodhisattvahood, is to teach you to benefit others, to benefit sentient beings,
行一切菩萨行，
and you perform all the actions of bodhisattvas
天界
in order to have the bodhisattva realm.
得到的福报，
And the heavenly realm is when you do all the
你就可以到天界。
goodness, and by attaining the merit and blessings, you can go to the heavens.
他修的境界，
Simply said, why is there a realm of the Asura? Because they have the merit
诚信
of the heavens, and they can go to heavens, but they still have strong anger and aggression.
是因
So that's why it would be Asura realm for them.
而起作用。这跟维摩诘
So it manifests due to the causes and conditions. This is related to what we will talk about in the Vimalakirti Sutra.
就是因为
The Vimalakirti Sutra also states
形成这些佛界
that the changes
身为
in the causes and conditions would manifest the realms of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, heavens, humans,
恶鬼
Asuras, hells, hungry ghosts, animals.
这个形成，就是因为因缘所生，
They all manifest due to the
原因
causes and conditions.
境界。轮回呢，表示
Reincarnation or transmigration, and generally speaking, the six rebirth realms are the heavens, human, Asura, hell, hungry ghosts, and animal realms.
轮回，好像你一世
These realms are
你轮回到哪，
in transmigration, amidst the transmigration. So depending on your causes and condition, you would be reincarnated in which realm. That's the typical explanation.
这个回答，新加坡，他
That's my answer to Henry from Singapore.
佛他有10个称号，
The Buddha has 10 epithets,
在念
and we often recite
10个称号，
them.
你这10个称号全部都具足，
If you are
才
endowed with all these 10 epithets,
像那个
then you would be, only then you would be called a Buddha.
出世间解，
Like understanding the worldly or beyond worldly, the master adjuster, the teacher of humans and heavens, devas, heavenly beings, and Buddhas, Tathagata, Buddha, Tathagata, and more. And Bodhisattvas primarily to benefit others. And the highest, greatest Bodhisattvas would be Buddha in waiting, very close to being a Buddha. Almost identical to a Buddha. And a Buddha is also the enlightened or awakened one. So if you do all good deeds, then you can go to heavens to enjoy your blessings. That's the heavenly realms. And for the 6 rebirth realms are divided into greed, anger, delusion. If you have a strong anger and aggression, you would go to the Asura realm. If you're ignorant and deluded, then that would be the animal realm. If you're evil and do evil deeds, then there would be hells and hungry ghosts. And if have good, have bad, that would be the human realm. That's the answer to his question. If someone share their mooncake to a friend, that's a friendship. If they give you the whole mooncake, what is that? The answer, because the mooncake tastes bad. Wish you a happy mooncake festival. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. So sharing half is a friendship, but if giving you the whole mooncake, the mooncake must taste bad. Today we will talk about the Vimalakirti Sutra. They knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, minds, and actions. They knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, minds, and actions. So the great Bodhisattvas know the behavior and conduct of sentient beings, their motives, their interest, what they like, and what they think in their minds, what they want to do. All of this are known to the great Bodhisattvas. So what it means here, as a great Bodhisattva, you understand all of the behavior of sentient beings and the minds and thoughts of the sentient beings. As a Bodhisattva, they understand really well the behavior of each person and what they think in their mind. So a great bodhisattva should be able to do that. So this phrase, this statement is very simple. This should be simple because every one of us has our past lives, present life, and future lives. And now, the present represents the past. The present also represents the future. So, looking at a person, say, for a great bodhisattva with good knowledge would know, by looking at a person, would know about their past and their future. So a great bodhisattva has this ability because they are to help sentient beings. If they don't understand sentient beings, it would be impossible to help them. Because they understand sentient beings and they know about their thoughts, their mindsets, and their behavior, so they can teach and transform sentient beings using this method. So the general explanation is this, that the great bodhisattva knows about the cause and effect of the three lifetimes, past, present, and future. And they know the future too. Let me give an example. Is Lin Ruiqin here? She's right there. Last time I had mentioned about her husband, Dharma brother Huang, and their relationship was very good. When Dharma brother Huang in Taiwan got really sick and left the world soon afterward, and because of his love, he was still roaming in the Sahawal. So because he was still very much in love, I delivered him with the 1,000 Dharma vessels. And because I called upon him, he came, but he did not want to get on board, not get on the bed, on the ship. He didn't want to get on board. Sometimes I mix between bed and boat. So he did not want to get on the Dharma vessel. He wanted to stay in samsara to accompany his wife. And I have told him many times, you have to get on board. But he was very reluctant. He didn't want to go. Because he still had love in his heart. And finally, I could get him on board. And he left. And afterwards, his Dharma sister received a sign like Dharma brother Huang came back to tell her that I will not be able to be on your side all the time. I need to go. I want to go to heavens. So he cannot stay around. So he did not appear in the Dharma sister's dreams anymore. And she also hasn't felt him around anymore. And he also said at that time, except if Grandmaster Lu approves me to come. Was that right? He needed Grandmaster Lu's permission to come to her side. So I know what he's thinking. He's not thinking about Sukhavati or the heavens. Because he was still strongly in love with his wife. He did not bear to leave his wife alone in this Saha world. So he had such a feeling. So as a great bodhisattva, you need to understand the mind or the heart of sentient beings, what they think, what they want. And he said that he needs Grandmaster Lu's permission to come to samsara. This is called they knew full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, thoughts, minds, and behaviors. Because the great bodhisattvas understand their behaviors and actions and their minds and mindsets, so they're able to guide the sentient beings to walk toward the heavenly realms, toward the Pure Lands, to walk on the spiritual cultivation path. Otherwise, if a great bodhisattva does not understand the sentient beings, then it would be extremely difficult. And there is a lady from Hong Kong that came to Seattle and told Grandmaster, "Grandmaster, I'm here." So I asked her, "Where are you from?" "Hong Kong." The Grandmaster gave her the passport, like her name is Lianhua Yongsi. Is she here? She's right there. She has many spiritual responses. I have told everyone at the Seattle Lijiang Temple that when I close my eyes, half awake and half drowsy, someone gave me a piece of paper and wanted me to sign it. And then I signed it, right? Do you remember? I mentioned that. And I did say that that piece of paper was a pass. Was the travel pass. So after signing the travel pass, is the one that it's hers. So she came to Seattle. So that's a spiritual response. I've talked about it before she got here. Someone gave me a piece of paper for me to sign, and I asked, what is this for? And she said, a travel pass. And I signed it. And that's her travel pass, or the visa to come to America. And as she passed the immigration, and the immigration officer was Grandmaster Lu. And with her travel pass of Sung Yen Lu, she could pass. It's also a spiritual response. How did you come? By carrying Sung Yen Lu travel pass. So even seated at this Dharma throne, I'm still working, taking care of things. Last night, when I performed the thousands of Dharma vessels spiritual deliverance, I also did a lot of things. I signed papers and granted requests. You need to understand people's behaviors and their heart minds. Then it would be easier for a great bodhisattva to help and deliver sentient beings. Like Tantrayana is more appropriate for sentient beings. Like in Mahayana Buddhism, there is no such thing as wealth deity practices. They would say, what about money or wealth? That's poisonous snakes. Don't touch them. It would increase your greed. And Vimalakirti says, a great bodhisattva will give you what you want, what you need. So in Tantric Buddhism, we have wealth deity practices, so that when you practice them, by practicing them, you also acquaint yourself with the Tantric practice procedures. Although you practice the wealth deity practices to gain wealth, but in your practice, you gradually familiarize yourself with Tantric practices or sadhanas. And once you gain spiritual responses, you would progress. So Vimalakirti states that you use the desire to entice you and then guide you onto the Buddhist path. So you entice them using the desire, by fulfilling the desire of sentient beings, and then gradually guide them onto the Buddhist path. So for those who desire money, they have wealth deity practices. And those who love fame and name, you can practice Mahabala. Then you can gain power and authority. By practicing Mahabala,
会增长。
you would become more famous, more popular.
你要做什么？
If you want to become a high official or whatever you want to do,
权威
he has great power to increase your power
就有大力金刚。
and authority.
你贪色，
If you love sex,
的色财色名，
so wealth, sex, and
世间
fame
很难投入。
are something
贪财，
that's most ordinary people
这个都是会下地
have.
第一恶
But
众生
if you cling
到这些地
to money, sex, and
先以贪
fame, then you can go to hell. However,
在
if they're enticed
就是这个道
by fulfilling their desire first before transforming them into the Buddhist path,
双生
onto the Buddhist path.
生也是
That's why we have the consort practice for those who love sex, because you also practice Buddhism in doing the practice.
邪教，
Most people or Mahayana Buddhists would say
哪有可以
consort practice is definitely evil. How could spiritual cultivators ever do such things?
贪色啊？
Even non-spiritual cultivators also love sex, right?
修行人贪色，
Not just spiritual practitioners.
贪色，不是修行人也贪色。
Whether they practice spirituality or not, they all love sex.
结婚
Some people get married
啊，夫妻之道，
and they have
这
to
双生呢，
do the thing. That's also a consort practice, right? But you transform it into a Dharma practice or Buddhist practice. Then it becomes a Buddha
结
Dharma.
合你就是双生，
Because man and woman in this world,
结婚就双生。
when they're in union,
他主业不是双生是什么？
that's all consort practice. Wedding nights, honeymoons, they're all consort practice, right?
他主业
If you stay in this bedroom and he stay or she stays in another bedroom, then how can that be a wedding night?
你说好了，我们今天你睡
But
这一间，我睡那一间，开始就
it's very. So how can you get married and
来讲讲。
stay in separate bedrooms? No, it doesn't happen on wedding nights, but usually it happens later on. In the beginning, you're so attached to each other,
人的本性呢，
like
人的
glued together.
天性呢，你不能
That's human nature.
错误
You cannot say that loving sex is wrong,
转成修法。
but you can transform it into a Dharma practice.
双生法里面有什么？
Do you know what's in a consort practice? There's a boundary protection,
教你结界法，
so teaching you how to do the boundary protection. There's mantra recitation,
咒教你持
chanting mantra, so that's teaching you the mantra recitation. There's qi,
纳气法，
so taking in the
变
qi,
异
swallowing saliva. So the Dharma practice for taking in the qi, swallowing saliva, and then meditation.
双生法怎么有禅定？
How can there be meditation in the consort practice? Yes,
其中就是禅定。
when you are focused, that's meditation.
都有修行的方法在里面。
So they're all cultivation methods in there. Also mudra,
定就是什么？就是基法，基数的方法，
that's the
有所因。
techniques, that's the mudras, the boundary protection,
有持咒，
mantra recitation,
那有禅定，
meditation,
很多的法，
many different Dharma practices in it.
还有
And practicing the qi, the inner tantric practice is also included. For the qi channels and light drops, that's the circulation of qi and qi. And then opening up the channels during such time. And then with the light drops above and light drops below, you also practice the non-leakage. And when the light drops descend, you need to retract it. That's the non-leaking Dharma practice. So there are many principles in the consort practice or dual body practice. And that's part of human nature, which includes greed, anger, and delusion. Like the Heruka practice is to cultivate using your greed and anger, or the anger part of the human nature, to practice the Heruka practices. And utilizing the greed of human nature to practice wealth, deity, and utilizing the ignorance of human nature to transform it into great wisdom. Those are methods in Tantric Buddhism, and those can only be done by great bodhisattvas. Like Grandmaster is non-leaking in his body from long ago. I've been non-leaking since long ago. Actually, loving sex is a human nature. People criticize consort practice of Tantric Buddhism. How can they practice such a thing? I think even for ordinary lay Buddhists, they are not ordained. But actually, they are also practicing it, although they are not practicing dual body, but not dual body practice. Why do we call it a practice? Because like what was taught by the gurus, how to visualize, how to form the mudras, how to chant the mantra, how to meditate, how to open the channels and practice the qi and light drops, how to ascend and descend, how to circulate the qi, how to open the channels. So today, the great bodhisattvas know full well the coming and going of sentient beings, their motives, their thoughts, their hearts, their minds, their actions, their behaviors, because they comprehend the cause and effect of past, present, and future. A great bodhisattva has this ability. By taking a look at a person, he would immediately know where his future life would be. By taking a look at a person, a great bodhisattva would know about his past or present or future, because they are marks on your body. They would know everything. So other people would explain this statement as all the great bodhisattvas know about sentient beings, what they like, what they do, and what they think in their minds. That's the end of their explanations. But Grandmaster's explanation is different. That in the heart mind of sentient beings, they have greed, anger, and delusion, and how to transform them into precepts, meditation, and wisdom. And that's what the great bodhisattvas do. To transform greed. They don't know that in the consort practice, there's meditation, there's wisdom, there's also abiding by the precepts. If you practice until you reach non-leakage in the body, before you're taught the consort practice, or how to practice the non-leakage of the body, the great bodhisattva can teach that too. And then like the world deity practices, Heruka practices, dual body practices only exist in Tantrayana. That's why Vimalakirti states that all the great bodhisattvas fully comprehend sentient beings, what they do, what they like, what they think. That's the meaning of this statement. You are what you, because they have greed, anger, and delusion in the minds of sentient beings. You use those to guide them, to entice them, and then guide them onto the Buddhist path. Last night at 3 a.m., the phone rang and the friend said, "Oh, some things inside my car was stolen." And then he said, "Why don't you report it to the police?" And the friend said, "Well, they may not be valuable, but the steering wheel, the gas pedal, the brake pedal were all stolen. Why don't you come and get me?" And I was thinking, how come thieves nowadays steal those things? So I changed and was about to leave the house, and the phone rang again, and the friend said, "Oh, no need to come. I was drinking too much and I sat on the passenger seat." So drinking is also human nature. And also smoking, gambling. It's difficult to change those. And one more nowadays is playing cell phones. You're obsessed by it. So many people are obsessed by that. And people become isolationist. And they lock themselves in their rooms, and they don't eat, they don't sleep, they just play with the cell phones. So lots of things are very addictive, and you need to know about that person and find a way to save them. They are addicted to the cell phone. I don't know why. It's so addictive because I don't have a cell phone. I don't have cell phone with me.
连手机我都不会动，
I never touch a
免
smartphone.
得被迷掉。
It's better that I don't know it and I don't learn it rather than being addicted to it.
哎，这个讲
Should I
一个年轻的美女，她说紧身裙上身。
a young, beautiful lady was wearing a very tight skirt and short skirt, and it's too tight. She was trying to get on the public bus and she could not.
这个时候后面
So she secretly unbuttoned 2 buttons behind her, and still she could not get on the bus. And then someone behind her unbuttoned one of her buttons, and she slapped him. And what a pervert! Why are you unbuttoning my skirt? And he said, "Hey, I didn't say anything when you unbuttoned my pants, and now I'm unbuttoning only one of your buttons, and you slapped me." So she made a mistake.
我们人这一辈子一定要结，
So human beings in this lifetime has to get married at least once. You know why?
不然呢，你都不知道
Otherwise, you would never know
多舒服。
how good it is to live alone.
这个丈夫呢，打电话给妻子，
The husband called the wife.
应酬无口无马，
I have to socialize tonight and can't go home to eat.
都是什么？
And the daughter asked mom,
不喜欢去，
"What does it mean to socialize?"
又不得不去，
And mom said, "It's because it's an obligation. He doesn't really like it, but he has to do it."
女儿上学，
So the next morning, before school, the daughter said, "I want to socialize, mom."
不喜欢去就不得。
That you have to go even when you don't like it.
人一样的善变，
The weather is like woman,
天气
ever changing, and the weather forecaster is like the man. It's undeniable.
这个会议上是讲过，
Master Hui Jin has told
一
us
定要
to.
学会游泳，
You have to learn to
因
swim
为这个社会
because in this society, it's so easy that people drag you into the water.
我们来等一下。
Om Mani Padme Hum.
非常感谢法王圣
We are truly grateful to His Holiness Precious Dharma teachings. In a moment, there will be the empowerment for Mahamayuri. And during the empowerment, please remember to form the mudra, to visualize the deity, and to chant the mantra. Before you leave tonight, please make sure to return your receivers before you leave. Please remember to return your receivers. This ends the English interpretation today. Thank you very much.
恭请师尊带领大家顶礼坛城。顶礼坛城做观想大礼拜，一拜根本传承上师及诸佛。嗡啊吽，观想顶礼，回天心三印，二拜诸菩萨。嗡 啊吽观想离力，回天心三印，3拜做护法金刚，嗡啊吽观想离力，回天心三印，4平等一起手。恭请师尊移步到展示屏，接受众线上的众弟子感恩之心。
师尊感恩，感恩师尊好，谢谢大家身体健康，身体安康，天下安康，
谢谢师尊，谢谢众线上的同门，大家再见。谢谢师尊，谢谢众线上的同门，下周见喽。
师尊。
那你讲，长老的。
May I have your attention, please? Please return the English translation receiver. If you still have it, please return it right away. Thank you. We're still missing 5.
恭请师尊赐授孔雀明王法灌顶，有皈依灌顶。
Om li gra di so ha om moi 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 li ga la 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 di
还没有接受灌顶的义工同们，请你们来接受灌顶，灌顶很快就要结束了。还没有接受灌顶的义工同们，请你们来接受灌顶。
om moi li ga la di so ha 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 om
我们一起顶礼感恩，谢谢师尊。